Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Hopefully you're doing well and you are ready for some Computer America because, hey, we have a great show planned for you with none other than Ralph Bond. Yes, that Ralph Bond will be joining us all hour as we talk about a bunch of different stories that he has collected, he's found, and of course it's everything that is going right with technology in a lot of ways. So everyone, you are going to look forward to Ralph Bond, Science and Technology Trends Correspondent. And hey, everyone, welcome into the program. So obviously Computer America has been off the, we had reruns for about 5 days there. Just want to let all of you know, thank you so much for sticking with us, and we'll be back to our regular schedule Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern, for the foreseeable future, as in all the way through December. So everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. Real quick, computeramerica.com, that will have links to anything and everything that we talk about, including links to Ralph's website and any stories, any videos that we show, anything and everything will be right there at computeramerica.com. Check out some of the recent articles. We have reviews up. We have a bunch of different things. And I guess I should say this, Craig, if you're listening, and anyone else out there who happens to be a father, happy Father's Day. Hopefully I'm getting that right. It's this weekend. And yeah, hey, everyone, it's not often do fathers get appreciated. Mothers, no offense, mothers get appreciated all the time because they do a tough job and they deserve the appreciation. Fathers, a little overlooked, but we appreciate you, so there you go. Everyone, hey, let's go ahead and get started. So, as I said before, Ralph Bond, if you haven't heard one of his segments, then you're in for a treat, because, hey, he finds stories about, and I really do like hearing about the construction side of it, the medical side of technology, and so on and so forth. It's he finds some of the stories that you just don't hear about because you get washed out with, security breaches or, the new iPhone or things like that. This is not that segment. This is something completely different. So everyone, welcome onto the program once again, Mr. Ralph Bond. Ralph, hey, how you doing? 1 second, and there we go. Ralph, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Hey, it's Techno Rush Friday for us here, right?
Techno Rush. What? Wait, I'm sorry. What?
I'm just thinking a technology rush. It's time to get excited about technology. Absolutely. So, hey, before we get started, why don't you go ahead and give the folks out there a little bit of preview of who Ralph Bond is and why you like coming on the show and talking about this kind of thing. Oh, sure. You can learn all about me. Just point your browser to my name, Ralph Bond, and then the word Wix, W-I-X, and then you'll see the link to my website. Gosh, I was with Intel Corporation almost 14 years. Prior to that, I was involved with the computer industry in a variety of ways in marketing communications and press relations. And then I finished up my last 10 years of my active full-time career before retirement with Autodesk, the amazing company that does computer-aided design software, and most notably AutoCAD. And all those years, starting with Intel, I was on the show with you guys and doing Computer America for, a long time.
Longer than me.
It's been a wonderful relationship.
Yeah, longer than me, absolutely, and we definitely appreciate you coming on, and yeah, and like I said, our segment has evolved a little bit over the past, but hey, I think it's gotten a lot better. So let's go ahead and just get started. So everyone, and by the way, the video portion super important. We have a live video feed that, of course, if you're listening to us on the radio, do not watch us and drive, but if you are at your computer, at your desk, or whatever, tune into the live video portion. They're super helpful for Ralph's segments because hey, he does a lot of work collecting the stories, showing off videos and things like that. So just want to preface that and say, let's start with story number 1.
Yeah, and along those lines too, don't forget to come out to the Computer America website. Get the show notes for today's show, because invariably it's kind of a running joke between me and Ben. We never usually get through the 10 or so stories I collect each month, but they're there for you to look at like fun homework. And also you'll have the links, pictures, and so on. And you can follow up later if you're listening on air only and can't get to your computer at this time. So get those show notes.
Right. So story number 1, electric air. Well, actually, I'm sorry. I'll let you go ahead and do it. But air taxis, it's something that's been batted around, but it's coming. So what is this?
Well, yeah, air taxis, and it's all kind of, speculative right now, but this first story comes from The Verge, a story by Andrew Hawkins. The headline is what grabbed my attention. Electric air taxi startup Lilium completes first test of its new 5-seater aircraft. Okay, so we've had electric aircraft. That's not new. That's been around. And in fact, this German-based company, if you watch their video, you'll find out they had a 2-seater that they've successfully flown and so forth. But the story here was taking it to the next level in terms of making it a more viable air commuter taxi kind of solution with a 5-passenger test flight. And truth in lending right up front, when you see the video, you'll see that the test flight was very, very limited at this time. So they simply kind of like a hovercraft took off from the landing pad and then dropped down.
Which,
but it
by
was
the way,
its first significant step.
Right. And by the way, we're watching the video in the background.
Oh, great.
So there you go.
Perfect. So let's get into the story here a little bit. And again, I'm glad that Ben's playing the video because it's so illustrative of what's going on here. So here's the story. German air taxi startup Lilium announced the first test of its full-scale, all-electric 5-seater aircraft. It was the latest in a series of successful tests for the nascent electric flight industry, which aims to have flying cars whizzing above the cities within the next decade. Of course, that begs a lot of questions about air traffic control and all kinds of crazy things, but go with it for now. In a video produced by the Munich-based company, Lilium's unpiloted aircraft can be seen taking off vertically like a helicopter, hovering briefly, and then landing. It may not seem like much, but it's a big step for the company, which hopes to launch a fully operational flying taxi service in multiple cities by 2025. So really, folks, 6 years? Roughly, that's pretty aggressive compared to other pre-production electric aircraft we've seen so far. The Lilium Jet certainly stands out. It has an egg-shaped cabin perched on landing gear with a pair of parallel tilt rotor wings, and that's one of the key design elements here, and it's shown very well in the video. Now get this, the wings are fitted with a total of 36 electric jet engines that tilt up for vertical takeoff and then shift forward for horizontal flight. There's no tail, rudder, propellers, or gearbox. Interesting, huh? When it's complete, the Lilium Jet will have a range of 186 miles and a top speed of 186 miles per hour. That's interesting that they correlate there, the company claims. That's much farther than many of its competitors are predicting for their electric aircraft. So this is, there's a lot more in the story. We could dig down more into it, or if you want to, you can go out and get the show notes, get the link, and read the rest of the story. But I think this is a pretty interesting development.
Yeah, and obviously the article goes on for a little bit. And I will say that when we were on break there for a little bit, let's take that full screen. But yeah, when we were on break there, we actually played our interview with Deseritus UAS, I believe, or SBUAS. And they are making their own electric personal air taxi as well. So we actually interviewed a company that was doing this, but they're doing it out of Nevada. These guys are European based. And, when you said that the 2025 is an aggressive timescale, the one in Nevada was looking about the same. And
interesting.
I'm not sure where these things are going to operate, because obviously they say they're going to be everywhere. They're going to be in cities and rooftop to rooftop and blah blah blah. But I don't know. These are like the one in Nevada said that they were going to be like kind of personal aircraft, personal enjoyment kind of thing. But I just don't know how these are going to fit into our day-to-day lives, because they're coming, no doubt about that. It's just, what do you do with an electric plane that has a relatively short distance, but is very is battery powered, so it's very easy to use. I don't know.
Well, yeah, and in fact, deeper in the article, which again we won't read the whole article now for the sake of time, but toward the end of the article, it suggests one useful application for this kind of craft, and that would be as a transport, a shuttle from downtown Manhattan, of course in New York, to JFK International Airport. Now they say, given the performance of the aircraft, it could do that in under 10 minutes, and I've done that in cars, believe me, and it's even with no traffic, it's a lot longer than 10 minutes, and they estimate, roughly speaking, the company Lilium says it could be a $70 ticket. And right now, a helicopter ride from an Uber-like helicopter service is $195 for that same trip. So I think those are the practical applications. What I question in my mind, Ben, and I'm sure you would do as well, air traffic control. How do you manage all of these things in the air? Are they all self-aware, Internet of Things connected somehow so that there's no collisions and it's all coordinated? TBD, we'll see.
I've no doubt that that machine learning and everything that we're doing with automated cars are going to play a huge role in not just these planes, but all planes in the future. I just had to go on a flight, and planes are just, they're so automated that you could just see them, kind of queuing up together and do that kind of thing. But regardless, you're right. For sake of time, very interesting story, and I hope to see these things in the air in not too long. And hey, like I remember just 5 years ago saying that self-driving cars are going to be here by 2019, 2020, and I was thinking that's forever from now. But 5 years isn't that long, so we'll see before we know it. So there you go. Story number one. Story number two. And okay, so shoe companies, those are some of the most low-tech paraphernalia that you buy. Shoes. They're there to protect your feet so that you don't step on things and get hurt. And it's hard to imagine how a shoe company mixes augmented reality, but looks like they've done it. So what is this?
Well, yeah, this is funny. By no other than Nike. That's a brand I think you recognize.
Oh, yeah.
And by the way, Nike, world headquarters and founded in Oregon, just about maybe 10 miles from where I'm speaking to you, west of Portland. They're in a town comically called Beaverton. Beavertown, get it? Anyway, Beaverton, Oregon is where they're headquartered. Massive facility there. My daughter-in-law works for Nike. And the story here comes from BGR. It's a story by Mike Weiner. And the headline, I had to get this. Nike's app will use augmented reality to determine your shoe size. And I immediately said, what? So you've got to get the show notes, get the link, go out and see this, and see the video that they produced. I've got the link in the show notes. Maybe Ben is showing the video right now.
I am.
And this will really help you understand this story. But let's get right to it. It says, do you know your own shoe size? Well, I think I do. You might think you do, but there's a good chance you're walking around in shoes that aren't actually a perfect fit. And that's a fair comment. Nike thinks it can change that with a new addition to its smartphone app that leverages the power of augmented reality to perform a super accurate scan of your feet, matching you with the ideal size depending on the kind of shoe you're shopping for. That's a key part of this little sentence here. It not only says your size should be this, but if you say to the app down the road, which is not available yet, by the way, guys, it'll be available later, but down the road when you do this app and you say, well, I'm looking at model X running shoe, they might say, well, then for that kind of shoe, you need size XYZ. Oh, I'm looking at this other kind of shoe. Oh, for that one, it might be a different size because of the nature of what the shoe is supposed to do relative to the scan of your foot, right? So anyway, it says in a blog post, Nike calls the current system of shoe sizing antiquated, calling it a gross simplification of a complex problem. That's where Nike Fit, that's this little utility, the new sizing feature comes in. That's a whole bunch of flashy terms, the author of the article says, that don't mean a whole lot to the average shoe shopper, but the gist of it is that the app will allow you to take a scan of your feet when you're about to buy a pair of kicks, or shoes, of course. Nike Fit will be an option alongside the traditional sizing list, but the company is obviously promoting this as the ideal way to get the perfect fit. Now, here comes a quote from their press announcement that gives us a little more understanding of what's going on. It says, using your smartphone's camera. So I want you to picture, for those of you who don't have the benefit of being on your computer right now and seeing Ben's video and so forth, the user holds their smartphone up. They use the smartphone's camera. They're standing maybe against a wall, but they're pointing the cameras down to their feet, stocking feet and so forth. So it says here, quote, using the smartphone's camera, Nike Fit will scan your feet, collecting 13 data points, mapping your foot morphology for both feet within a matter of seconds, Nike explains. Goes on to say this hyper-accurate scan of your unique foot dimension can be stored in your Nike Plus member profile and easily used for future shopping online and in-store. So that's pretty cool. And it's a pretty interesting, again, augmented reality in 2 seconds. There's virtual reality where you put on goggles and you're in a completely computer-generated environment, which can be thrilling. Augmented reality, Ben, of course, you know this already, is where you combine. Think of, Pokemon Go? Remember that kind of thing, where you have a combination of what really is in front of you and augmented with additional imagery or information. So that's what we're talking about here.
Exactly. And like I've heard of companies, we had measuring companies, where you use your phone to measure things like in a room. And just even like a couple of 2 years ago, it was so wonky and kind of hard to use that it was only for like professionals. And even then, if you were just using your smartphone, it was not very accurate at all. But now that they can do that with any smartphone or if they're going to do it with any smartphone on anyone's feet, it really shows how far this idea has come.
Oh, yeah, and how it's getting dispersed, democratized, as it were, through something like a massive worldwide commodity like Nike shoes, right? And this will become available in July in the United States and then in August throughout Europe. So if you're a Nike fan and if you have their Nike app on your phone already, get ready for this additional app. And if nothing else, try it out just for fun to see what it says.
Right, yeah, and like you said, the video that they show here, it's a lady looking to buy shoes for a 5K or for some kind of race, and hey, when I'm buying slippers, they're not going to be the same fit as a pair of running shoes. So, that kind of thing. I'm actually kind of curious about this because, Raph, I don't know what shoe size you wear, and I don't want to give that information out because
no,
people
it varies.
Use it to steal
like they say, it varies by the kind of shoe. My boots are one size. My tennis shoes are slightly sometimes a different size. So, yeah.
I have these feet that I like my feet, no qualms there. But I wear like I wear like a size 13 shoe. Yeah. But my feet are so wide that I wear like a size 15 just because I have to. I'm hoping that if Nike or other shoe companies, kind of scan an abnormal foot such as mine or anyone else's, they'd say, we don't make that kind of shoe because it's so annoying to buy a size 13 and it doesn't fit, or buy a size 15 and it doesn't fit. I'm hoping that if nothing else, they can scan my foot and say, we really don't carry that, so maybe you want to go elsewhere. Like, just stop wasting my time, I guess. But
or with advanced computer guided manufacturing and so forth, they could say, well, Ben, we don't carry what you need, but we can make it for you. And yes, you pay a little more, but imagine that possibility, because then it becomes data that's just fed into a production process. So I think that's what your story makes me really think that could be super cool. And then extend that out to people who maybe have, sadly, deformities or other problems other than just size of their foot, like your case, but other issues where they might need special customized shoes.
Flat feet or something.
We have the technology.
High arches or no arches and things like that.
Yes, exactly.
Makes perfect sense. And hey, I'm looking forward to it. Like you said, although I will say, I'm not surprised Nike's doing this. I think Nike is one of the premier sport accessories or kind of athletic companies that they just like for a while now they've integrated smart technology into clothing for athletes. To measure stride, gait, movement, sweating, that kind of thing. Like Nike's really all in on technology, which is nice to see.
Absolutely agree. Yeah, and I think they're in their category of clothing and shoes and that sort of thing. I think their leadership is pretty strong, as you just suggested. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So story number 2: scan your feet. That's going to be good. That's hopefully they'll be out by the holidays. But story number 3, this one doesn't surprise me at all. And I think I saw this on the local news about like a week ago or something like that. They were doing an expose on Chinese surveillance of their citizens, but just reading the headline still blows my mind. So let's go ahead and go story number 3.
Oh, yeah. This one gives you cause to pause.
For sure.
Also from BGR Magazine. Great outlet. Story this time, though, by Andy Meek. And the headline. This is what grabbed my attention and is getting yours as well. This new Chinese camera can spot you from 28 miles away. Now, you're going to find out as we get into the story that 10 miles was kind of the previous breakthrough, and now we're going up to 28 miles. Holy smokers.
I'm afraid that I didn't even know 10 miles was the previous record holder. I thought it was, think about any security camera footage you've ever seen. Yeah. I thought it was somewhere around 50 feet was about the maximum for security cameras.
Yeah, I know.
10
this
miles.
is an eye-opener for me, too. I agree.
Yeah.
So here's a story. It says a team of Chinese researchers has just announced their creation of an inexpensive but powerful camera that's the size of a shoebox. Now, once again, if you have the show notes, you see the picture, you get the idea of the scale we're talking about, which seems destined to further chip away at privacy and individual anonymity, what's left of them at any rate. Amen to that, right? The camera is meant for, no surprise, surveillance and target recognition. That's a little scary. And is reportedly capable of spotting someone, really anything, from up to 28 miles away, even in conditions that otherwise would obscure sight like smog. And in China, that's a very relevant thing to think about in the urban areas, right? And it's able to do so based on laser technology and a reliance on, guess what? Artificial intelligence, right? Goes on to say, according to the MIT Technology Review publication, researchers from the University of Science and Technology of China in Shanghai figured out how to photograph objects from so far away, even in a smog-filled urban environment, by using, and here's the geek out, single photon detectors combined with a unique computational imaging algorithm that achieves super high resolution images by knitting together the sparsest of data points. It's a big mouthful, but it's fascinating.
I'm trying to in my head, try to break down what that means. And obviously, single photon detector would be laser guided. Lasers are in a lot of applications. Ralph, you work in construction. I'm sure if someone said lasers and lasers, how can we be using? It's like, no, they're used all the time, every day. So you need computational imaging algorithms. So that means artificial intelligence or machine learning, whatever. Super high resolution image just means super high resolution by knitting together the sparsest of data points. It sounds like they're using technology that's essentially they take a bunch of photos and then they use machine learning to knit them together, but doing it very, very very, very far away. So,
well, yeah,
it's
and the sparsest data points suggests to me, because you're talking about 28 miles away, your data points with this laser capability are going to be minimal. So there must be an artificial intelligence machine learning that figures out how to predictively knit this together into what they guesstimate accurately to be what it's quote unquote seeing from that distance. Again, I just guess.
We assume. Right.
We assume. It goes on to say it's a major advancement for this kind of technology. Previous such cameras, for example, could only resolve and make sense of imagery captured by bouncing a laser off of it from 10 miles away. The researchers, though, had to achieve multiple breakthroughs in order for their camera to actually work. One of the breakthroughs is the 1550 nanometer infrared laser, which reportedly won't damage the human eye and is still able to penetrate barriers like fog to find its faraway subject. In tandem with that, The researchers also needed a way to combine the points captured by their camera, which aren't enough on their own to derive a complete image from. That's why they also came up with an artificial intelligence algorithm they trained to make sense of the data when captured from a great distance. Wow. And then it ends by saying, according to a paper published by the researchers, the Chinese researchers, the potential applications here include remote sensing, and here's the kicker, airborne surveillance, with the camera designed, with the camera design helping open up a new pathway for, quote, higher resolution, fast, low power 3D optical imaging over ultra long ranges. Wow.
Yeah, to 28, and only some of the photos I've ever seen can go 28 miles and really have any kind of discernible resolution. Ralph, I think that China has actually managed to take one of the tropes in television, when you watch CSI and they're like, the image is really blurry. It's like, okay. And then they like tap on their keyboard and they're like, enhance. Like there was no way to increase the resolution from the base image, and whenever you see television enhancing an image until it makes it look like a person.
Yes.
That was just TV, that was just TV
silliness.
Magic. Yes, silliness. But I think that's what they did, training the AI, saying that this is probably what his shirt is, this is probably what his face is, taking what little pixels that they can pick, and they can, I guess, kind of estimate, well, this pixel looks like a blue, and it's probably where his shirt is, so it's a blue shirt, and they keep training an algorithm until, I think they found a way to enhance a resolution beyond what it's supposed to be. So
well, and Ben, this is germane to today's hot news,
yeah.
where purportedly we our intelligence agencies have a video of what is suggested or alluded to be Iranian sailors removing a mine from the side of the one of the tankers that were blown up, or not. Well, they tried to blow them up,
right?
But you get the picture. How did we get this video? Must have been a long range thing, and the angle of the video doesn't suggest an above satellite thing to me. So wait a minute. And so maybe we have something like this too. Who knows?
I have little to no doubt, because we are, I personally, I'm not privy to military secrets. You might be, Ralph. I don't know your clearances.
Not me.
Okay, so he says he's not.
I know nothing.
He says. But I will say that they said that this is what China has. That's low power, and they mentioned affordable. This is going to be cheap. This is not them building satellites on the side of buildings. No, this is going to be able to be implemented anywhere. Also, there's another line somewhere in the article mentioned that this will probably be used on drones. I have no doubt that our U.S. military has these things on drones already. So I'm betting that's what.
Got to figure, or something like it.
Yeah. So there you go. Very, very cool article. Very scary article. And and by the way, let's see. There was a when I saw it on the when I saw the story on the news. They interviewed, and this little tangent might take us to the break. We might introduce the next story,
that's
but
cool.
We're running up to the break here. But I will say, Ralph, that the company that was providing the hardware and the software, really the machine learning, was a U.S.-based company. I can't recall the name, but
interesting.
The journalist for it was like NBC or ABC or which one of those, they were like, do you feel any remorse? Do you feel any hesitation in selling the Chinese government tools that would help either spy on or oppress its own people? And really, his response was kind of like, we just make the camera. We're not responsible for what happens to it. But clearly, it was like this weird. It was interesting to see the people who are making the cameras, and they're like, well, it's not really up to us how it's being used, even though they know how the Chinese government plans on using these things. Just seeing that disconnect from the manufacturing to the actual use case. I don't know. What do you think about, because obviously when you break it down, when you come down to it, probably the chips that go into, tools of war are probably made by the same companies that make the chips that go into your smartphones. I mean,
it's
not that far of a stretch.
if we wind up slapping 25% tariffs on all Chinese things,
True.
I think our worries are a little lessened because it'll be too expensive to bring these cameras in. No, I'm being facetious and joking around. Some of that, we just make this, we're not responsible for how it's used, reminds me of some of the comments from the gun manufacturers too, right? So it's a very difficult
It's a very
topic,
weighted
to say
question.
The least.
Yeah, it's a very weighted question, and obviously a camera is not a gun, but hey, they could both be very dangerous, especially when they could catch me in the shower at 28 miles away. That's very scary. But and not just for me, but for the people on the other end of the camera. I will say though, story number 4. Let's go ahead, introduce it. We'll start it, and then I'll let you know when we're going to go to break.
All right, sounds good. So the next one actually comes from the United Kingdom's news outlet Daily Mail, and it's a story by Victoria Bell, and the headline says, first AI, here comes artificial intelligence again, that seems to be my thing this week, or this month, first AI that sees like a human could lead to automated search and rescue robots, scientists say. Really pretty interesting, thought-provoking. A couple of highlight points here.
Sure.
Computer scientists have taught an agent to take snapshots of its surroundings. Most artificial intelligence systems are only trained for very specific tasks. This approach, it takes glimpses around a room it has never seen before to create a full scene. The team of computer scientists say the skill could be used for search and rescue missions and would be equipped for new perception tasks as they arise. Awesome. A fun thing for us to get into after the break.
Absolutely. Hey, great way to segue into the commercial break. Everyone will be right back. More Ralph Bond, more Computer America, more great articles. We have a lot more to go through, and yeah, I don't think we're getting through all 10. Everyone, we'll be right back. More Computer America.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer. And again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
800-215-4461. 800-215-4461. 800-215-4461. That's 800-215-4461.
We are all Brother Wolf. 10 years ago, a group of locals banded together to create positive change. We took animals into our homes, held adoption events at local retailers, and talked to the community about our mission to help build a no-kill Asheville. A decade later, we have achieved so many victories for animals in need. There's been so much progress, yet there's still so much to do. As part of our year-long celebration, we encourage you to become a member of our special Compassionate Circle program. With a monthly donation of $10 or more, you will have behind-the-scenes access to the work we are doing at Brother Wolf. Our goal is to reach 1,000 members because we receive no government funding. Working together, we can help build and sustain no-kill communities. Learn more at compassionatecircle.bwar.org. We are a 501c3 tax-deductible organization.
And welcome back to the Computer America Show. It is 32 minutes past the hour as we continue on here. And yeah, hey, Ralph is here with us. We're doing computer and technology news. We have a bunch of different stories that you definitely want to hear about. And I will say, even though I try to keep up to date on everything that happens in technology, because hey, that is my job. I have not even heard a lot of these stories. So Ralph does a good job of finding stuff that you should hear about, but you probably haven't. So before we get back to that, first thing, one thing I should mention is that the podcast. If you have missed any part of today's show, or you'd like to hear it again, or you'd like to time shift us, take us with you wherever you go, commute, whatever, then wherever podcasts are heard, search Computer America. We should pop right up. It'll be today's show, yesterday's show, and every other show. So check that out wherever podcasts are heard: iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, so on and so forth. Now, Ralph, again, thank you for continuing on with us, and let's go ahead and continue on with story number 4, if you're following along. And yeah, artificial intelligence, and really, it just seems like this story is going to be about taking one more part of the equation, because so much of artificial intelligence is identifying for things for people to look at, and it looks like it's now going to take that job as well, which is very cool.
Yeah, it is. And again, just to recap, before the break, we dove into it here a little bit. The headline again is First Artificial Intelligence That Sees Like a Human Could Lead to Automated Search and Rescue Robots, scientists say, again from the UK's Daily Mail newspaper. And in a nutshell, it's the idea of, okay, artificial intelligence or machine learning can be trained to deal with a very specific or focused, fixed task, if you want to call it that. Mm-hmm. What these researchers were up to was saying, well, what can we develop something like a human being who goes into a room and kind of quickly glances around, it sort of summarizes and figures out, oh, here's the door, here's the window, here's the floor, here's the ceiling. I kind of know what to expect in this environment. It's a little hard to verbalize this. You need to read the article and check it out in more detail. But this technology, developed by a team of computer scientists from the University of Texas, yay, United States, University of Texas, gathers visual information that can be used for a wide range of tasks. The main aim being that it could quickly locate people, flames, and hazardous materials and relay that information to firefighters, the researchers said. Now, again, think of a robot with visual capability and this AI technology combined. So it says after each glimpse of an environment that it's not been in before, okay, it chooses the next shot that predicts will add the most new information about the scene. This is really mind-boggling when you think about it. They use the example of a human being in a shopping center they have never visited before. And the customer goes into the shopping center. They've never been there before, but they see a shelf of apples, right? And you would expect to find oranges or bananas or whatever nearby. But to locate the milk, you might glance the other way because there's the artificial intelligence. You know that milk is not normally associated in the produce area, right?
Right.
So based on these glances or glimpses in the environment in question, the agent infers what it would have seen if it had looked in all other directions, reconstructing a full 360-degree image of its surroundings. When presented with a scene it has never seen before, the agent uses its experience to choose a few glimpses. Wow, this is a lot to soak in. I mean, it's pretty amazing.
It is.
It's remarkable. So it goes on to say, Professor Kristen Grauman, who led the study, said, quote, just as you bring in prior information about the regularities that exist in previously experienced environments, like all the grocery stores you've ever been to, this agent searches in a non-exhaustive way. Goes on with a quote, we want an agent that's generally equipped to enter environments and be ready for new perception tasks as they arise. She further goes on to say, it behaves in a way that's versatile and able to succeed at different tasks because it has learned useful patterns about the visual world. Wow. What makes this system so effective is that it's not just taking pictures in random directions after each glimpse, choosing the next, let me say that again, that it's not just taking pictures in random directions, but after each glimpse, choosing the next shot that it predicts will add the most new information about the whole scene. Oh my Lord. This is artificial intelligence and machine learning at a level that's absolutely astonishing. Concludes by saying the research was supported in part, gee, no surprise, by the U.S. Defense Advanced Research Projects, DARPA agency, and the U.S. Air Force Office of Scientific Research. Wow. I mean, a lot of stuff here to soak in and just meditate on, but
yeah,
think about this.
There was an advancement a little while ago, and Ralph, I'm sure you remember, with Google and AlphaGo and the other programs that were playing chess and poker and Go and things like that and beating the professionals. Right. And I think the big breakthrough there wasn't the fact that it was playing board games or anything like that. and especially the one with the poker, it was that it was operating without perfect information. Like it didn't, the poker robot didn't know the cards that you had, but it knew what cards were already on, were already on the table. It knew what cards it had, and it was able to then play poker based on incomplete information. And that breakthrough, which is seen here in its next evolution, about now that machine learning can do that, what do you do with that information? And it's like, well, we can discard useless information, or at least the information that we don't really need, and we can gather information that we do need. And like they said, it's also kind of scary. This article refers to the artificial intelligence as the agent and not the machine or the program. It's the agent, which is a little creepy. But it's just the next evolution of everything that we've been doing for the past couple of years, which is machines are learning to take in information, find new information, and then act on the information. And this is going to happen really fast. I don't know what this is going to look like in 10 years, but yeah.
And as you were speaking, I was thinking to myself, are we talking about machine learning and artificial intelligence that's breaking a threshold to having, based on prior experiences, having the ability to do informed hunches and act on intuition?
Yeah, well, and
that's something to really just let that soak in for a second.
But just like let's say IBM Watson, who can identify cancer, by looking at images and comparing them to a million different images of cancer before, or glaucoma, or whatever it was trying to identify. What you and I have to do, because we're humans and we have to rely on hunches and educated guesses and things like that. Machine learning would say, well, based on a million photos that I remember perfectly, this is a 96% or 99% chance this is cancer, this is a fire, this is a car accident, this is a person. Machines are going to be, I think, better, but still, I think for now and for the foreseeable future, humans are still going to be that safety mechanism. But machines are going to get really, really good at this.
Yeah. In fact, if you want to go into the sci-fi realm, Netflix carries a British, or is it no, Prime Video has a British-based series, a sci-fi series called Humans.
I've never seen that.
It's fun. It's especially the first couple of seasons, I think, are really particularly strong. But the whole premise of that is we reach a point in time where we have synthetic humans. And then the key point of the story is at certain points the switch is thrown and they become self-aware. Sounds like Skynet, right?
Yeah, it does.
But fascinating part of this, not to digress too much, is the story really gets into what are the civil rights of these aware synthetic humans. Do they have equal civil rights to biological human beings or not? It raises some fascinating stuff. It takes it to a different level than just, scary robots that can think like the Terminator. No, it's a different twist on it. And I encourage people to look at that as if you're into sci-fi of that nature.
Yeah, it's how close, I guess, can you get to humanity before you say, is it deserved, or is it deserving of humanity and treatment? So that topic's going to come even more and more. I will say though that not anytime soon. Luckily, machines are still just acting on information. But hey, let's get more information. Story number 5. Why don't we go ahead? We're 40 minutes into the program, 4 stories in. This is about our usual pace, so we're doing good.
That's true. That's why you got to go look at the show notes for the extra homework. But anyway, I love this story. It was on Inside Edition, the TV show, so I added a little bit more to it because it was a very short little video piece. But the headline was, "Quadriplegic man uses his face to move a wheelchair." And really a fun story. It got me going, and I did a little more research. Now you can see the video here. We've got the link for you. But the Inside Edition story, which was very brief, said Jim Ryan was a pilot for 38 years, but that all changed 3 years ago while on a vacation in Hawaii with his wife, Isabel. And he quote him, he says, "We were just in the water cooling off. So the wave came and we dove, and I got twisted around and the wave drove my head into the sand. And I said, well, I'll just swim up and we'll be on our way. But nothing moved," he said. How terrifying, right? Jim was paralyzed from his shoulders down, and he had to learn to speak again. And moving on his own was impossible until he received a fancy wheelchair that can be controlled by his face. Now, my further research showed me he didn't really receive a fancy wheelchair. He had a typical electrically moved wheelchair with a joystick, right? You see them all the time.
Yeah.
That was outfitted with what we're going to talk about. And that's really more compelling than some kind of specialized wheelchair.
Right.
So here we go. The solution, not the wheelchair, the solution is called the wheelie, like popping a wheelie. And it's made by Hoobox, Hoobox, and powered by Intel software. Wow. An algorithm learns to recognize Jim's expressions, so there's a camera mounted on the wheelchair, and turn the chair, and in turn, the chair responds in real time. Now, I went out to their website. In the show notes, we've got the website for Hoobox. Run, don't walk, run to this and check it out. And when you get to their website, you get a little better picture of the story. It says the world's first face-controlled wheelchair. The wheelie is a kit. That's the point. It's not the chair. It's a kit that allows people to drive their wheelchair using facial expressions, giving back autonomy and mobility to them. The beta version was released in partnership with Intel at CES, the Consumer Electronics Show, in 2019, so just earlier this year, right? And there's yet another YouTube video you can check out. Some specifics here. So again, you have the camera, but you also, if you're looking at the show notes, you can see there's this really nifty little device that works with the camera and the system to control the joystick. So you're someone who can't use your arms, can't use your legs, but you might still be able to smile, frown, make a facial expression or something that can control that device that goes over the joystick wand and moves it accordingly. So that's the gist of what's going on. There's 9 facial expressions. So you as a user choose 5 of 9 facial expressions to control the motorized wheelchair. And the kit comes with all you need to control a wheelchair with facial expressions. They say it's only about a 7-minute setup. How cool is that? No body sensors, so you don't have to tape on electrodes or any of that kind of stuff. They claim there's really basically no training once you decide what 5 facial expressions you want to use. An immediate response. The wheelie features real-time facial analysis with high precision. And there's no need to buy a new wheelchair, right? If you've got an electric wheelchair with a joystick, you're ready to go. And that's what I really loved about this story. And I just think this is so cool. I was saying to another friend earlier today, every American military veteran who tragically is unable to use their arms and legs, I think we should give them something like that. Every one of them should have something like this to help them have a better life.
Yeah, no, you used the term earlier, the democratization of, in that case, I think you were talking about the Nike, shoe scanning and that kind of thing.
Right.
This is going to be available to everyone just because, hey, it's, I think this kit, and I think I went to their website, it said it was like $200 or something like that. Like it's, to outfit the device onto any existing wheelchair. Like the wheelchair itself is still going to be expensive, but
oh, sure.
This is not expensive. And I think that's the cool part, that you can turn any one of these into a fully functioning, automated wheelchair. And I will say that, I can see the tie into Intel, because if you're thinking Intel, how does Intel play into that? I think they were developing that while you were still associated with them, Ralph. The RealSense camera, the idea that you could look at a camera, let's say a laptop webcam, and it would open, based on measuring your face.
Right.
I just found that interesting that they would turn that technology and say, okay, what else can we do with the RealSense technology?
Exactly.
And this is what someone came up with.
Yeah, I know. I love this story for so many reasons. It's just so great.
Right. No, very, very interesting. And man, it makes me regret even more not making it out to CES this year.
Yeah.
There are probably tons of companies like these that that we still haven't heard about. But there you go. So let's go ahead, jump on over to story number 6, and more robots. Ralph, you seem to have a pick this month. Robots, AI, that kind of thing. Well, looks like MIT has another one.
Well, you see, here's the deal, Ben. As I'm getting older, Grandpa Ralph here, as I'm getting older and my hands hurt, my feet hurt, all this, I'm interested in augmenting this body with exoskeletons and technology, anything to help me out, right? That's where I'm at.
I gotcha.
My next car I buy is going to have all the bells and whistles to help me not crash and kill people. So that's where my brain's at, why I picked some of these stories. So this story comes from Popular Science by Rob Verger. The headline, MIT's new robot takes orders from your muscles. Signals from your biceps and triceps tell this robot how to help you lift heavy objects. Very interesting. Great website link, pardon me, rather. Good video, too. Fun to see. Maybe you're playing the video for our listeners right now. And it says, imagine you're lifting a couch with a friend. You're both at opposite ends and need to communicate as to when to heft it up. You could go for it at the count of 3, or maybe, if you're mentally in sync, with a nod of a head. Now, let's say you're doing the same with a robot. What's the best way to tell it what to do and when? Roboticists at MIT have created a mechanical system that can help humans lift objects, and it works by directly reading the electric signals produced by a person's biceps. It's a noteworthy approach because their method is not the standard way that most people interact with technology. Now, we're all used to talking to assistants like Alexa or Siri, tapping on smartphones, or using a keyboard, mouse, or trackpad. Or, in the case of the Google Nest Hub Max, a smart home tablet with a camera can notice a hand gesture indicating stop that a user makes when they want to do something like pause a video. Meanwhile, robot cars, autonomous vehicles, perceive their surroundings through instruments like lasers, cameras, and radar units. Of course, we know all this. But none of those robotic systems are measuring a person's muscle flexing, the way this bot does. And in a situation where a person is lifting an object, a robot listening for voice commands or using cameras may not be may not be the best approach for it to know when to lift and how high. And I was just thinking of underwater work, right? You're in a suit or something. You may not be able to do verbal commands and even visual commands, right?
Right.
But if you can flex your bicep or tricep or something like that, that was one of the thoughts I came up with. It's a little bit obscure, but it does meet the need of this. Here it goes. It says, the bicep sensing robot works thanks to electrodes that are literally stuck onto a person's upper arm and connected with wires to the bot. Quote, overall, the system aims to make it easier for people and robots to work together as a team on physical tasks, says Joseph Del Prito, a doctoral candidate at MIT who studies human-robot interaction and the first author of a paper describing the system. Working together well usually requires good communication. And in this case, that communication stems straight from your muscles. Quote from Del Prito again here, says, as you're lifting something with the robot can look at your muscle activity, look in the sense of get the signal from your electrode, right? Look at your muscle activity to get a sense of how you're moving, and then it can try to help you. The robot responds to your muscle signals in 2 basic ways. At its simplest, the robot senses the signals called EMG signals from your biceps as you move your arm up or down, and then mirrors you. Ding, 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 then mirrors you. That's the key. It can also flex. You can also flex your biceps without actually moving your arm. Tense your muscle or relax it to instruct the robot hand to move up or down. Pretty cool, huh? The system also interprets more subtle motions, something it can do thanks to artificial intelligence, to tell the robot arm to lift up or down in a more nuanced way. A person with the electrodes on their upper arm can move their wrist slightly up twice or down once, and the bot does your bidding. So go back to the notes. Read the entire article. It's just terrific. Check it out. And it's really, I think, an interesting twist on this whole human-bot collaborative work interaction.
I've said this for a little while now. It's the future in robots is not learning how to, the best way to say this, robots, it's not, humans aren't going to learn how to talk to robots. Robots have to learn how to understand humans. Like when you mentioned, like digital assistants, it's like every time a new update comes out, it's like, it's not like, insert or input command, turn on light, X. Humans aren't going to learn how to talk like machines. Machines are going to have to understand, yo, Siri, what is the weather in Seattle? Robots are going to have to meet us more than halfway. And I think this is part of it, where they're going to understand not just our words, but our actions and what we're doing when we're doing it. And yeah, this is, again, just robots. meeting us more than halfway and helping us. So you can definitely see, as you mentioned later in the article, they mentioned manufacturing and Boeing and General Motors. Yeah, that's this is going to be very exciting. People are going to walk around and they're going to be augmented with technology. Now,
yes,
we have time
augmented is the key.
Yeah, and because we have time for maybe one, maybe two, and just because of your previous comment, I thought, for all the dads out there that complain about their bad knees, story number 9. We're going to skip over story number 8, and I believe.
And by the way, in the show notes, there's a great story about a brick-laying robot in Australia on Autodesk Redshift magazine. Check it out. That's a fun story. But let's get down to that. Yes, I can relate to this need for help. Need for knees to help. Or no, need for knees to work. How's that?
There we go.
Here we go. This is from ZDNet, story by Greg Nichols for Robotics. And the headline, Bad Knees? Lockheed is working on a bionic brace. Exoskeleton technology is full of promise but hasn't been widely adopted outside rehabilitation centers. This team wants to change that. Great, cool picture in the article here. A new bionic knee brace is in the works from a team that includes experts from defense contractor Lockheed Martin. Building on advances in rigid exoskeleton suits, the new brace uses soft robotic actuators and compliant materials, making it lightweight and, the researchers hope, practical to wear in certain real-world cases. Powered exoskeletons have been at the forefront of robotics research for years, but they've always run up against a market adoption problem. As mobility devices, they're just
may have lost Ralph there just for a minute, everyone. Hopefully, there we go. Hopefully it's reconnecting. And for everyone out there, we're doing this story about robotic knee brace. Ralph, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. So sorry about that. Yeah.
Oh, no worries. So I'll pick up where we left off. Powered exoskeletons have been at the forefront of research for. But they've always run up against a market adoption problem, as mobility devices are just too expensive to replace wheelchairs, at least for the moment, or other purposes too, not just wheelchairs. That's left robotic visionaries searching for a market for a technology that's felt already for prime time for years, right? Now, exoskeletons from the likes of EKSO Bionics have found a niche market in rehabilitation, helping stroke victims, for instance, recover lost motor function. They're also beginning to see adoption in limited industrial applications, including heavy industries like shipbuilding, where workers hoist heavy tools overhead and are prone to repetitive stress injuries. Now, the bionic knee brace is an attempt to port the same technology found in exoskeleton suits to a more specific problems. Knees tend to go bad. Amen. Especially among populations that use them vigorously, such as soldiers, firefighters, and industrial workers. The team behind the project includes members from the Georgia Institute of Technology and exoskeleton researchers with Lockheed Martin. And it goes on and talks about they've teamed up with flexible hybrid electronics companies like Nextflix, not Netflix, and StretchMed to bring a prototype one step closer, including human testing in just 6 months. Pretty cool. The soft robotic design builds upon Lockheed's lower body powered exoskeleton, which Lockheed has been developing to provide running, endurance, and lifting strength for soldiers, and which utilizes the power of FHE, flexible hybrid electronics, to read user actions and adjust to the device's knee torque in real time. That's pretty cool, right?
It seems really similar to the story that we just did with, sensing the guy lifting, but then that's not attached to him, but it's another robot. But yeah, it seemed about the same.
That's right. And it says here the prototype uses novel epidural sensors to acquire reliable data on how a user is using their knee from moment to moment, translating that information and learning to decode the user's intent.
It is the same thing. Yeah.
It's very similar, right? Isn't that something? The sensors are flat and flexible and read biometric data such as EMG, temperature, and pressure. Sensor-embedded soft actuators then provide necessary support, adding structure to portions of the knee when most beneficial. Wow, smart knee brace, right? For now, there's no immediate roadmap to bring the prototype to market. With Lockheed's involvement, the military is likely to be the first customer. But the technology could soon help some 52.5 million Americans who suffer from arthritis and osteoarthritis. Yes, wouldn't that be great?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And by the way, this story also reminded me of Ralph. Do you recall the chairless chair? The chairless chair exoskeleton.
I think that sounds so familiar.
Here, I can send you a link real quick,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm going to show it on screen. Oh, that just took a snapshot. Ralph, you look good. I'm going to let's see. So, message right here. Going to open the conversation. I'm going to show it right there on the video for everyone else to see. Yeah. So obviously, it's the idea that you can kind of sit down, and it's an exoskeleton that straps around your legs and your hips and your butt. And yeah, it's for like if you need to kind of squat down and install something when you're manufacturing. It allows you to essentially sit without having to put all the stress on your lower back and knees and that kind of thing. So
very cool.
Yeah, just applications abound. It's not just about rehab. It's also about manufacturing, Army, as they said. And hopefully one day, hey, if you're working in the garage and you want to, just kind of putter around, hey, maybe you could have access to a chairless chair or, one of these knee braces.
Exactly.
That's
pretty cool.
Absolutely. So, Ralph, we're about out of time. Story number 10, we touched on it a little bit. We're going to touch on it more. E3 just happened, and they've, just been talking about all kinds of games. Computer America has not really been covering E3 because I was on vacation. But next week, I think we have like 2 or 3 guests dedicated entirely to the convention. But yeah, go check out story number 10, 7, and 8. I believe those are the ones that we didn't do, including Stanford's open source 4-legged robot dog. And yeah, hey, lots of great stories. Ralph, we're about flat out of time. If people want to find out more about you, what you're up to, where can they go?
Super easy. Just point your browser to my name, Ralph Bond, and then the word Wix, W-I-X, and the first thing that'll come up is the link to my personal website. It has all the information about me and my work with Computer America and so on. It's great fun.
There you go. So, and everyone, once again, the show notes will go up after the program, and thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to catch us here next week, Monday through Friday. Ralph, thank you for taking out Friday with us, and yeah, looking forward to next month. Have a great one.
Okay.
All right, and everyone else out there, you have a great one too. We'll catch you here next time. Bye, everyone.